I was looking for the Cartography Licensing Bureau. That's the only thing I want to be clear about from the start. I had a surveying renewal, a stack of boundary maps from the Outer Reach Transit Zone, and a queue number, K447, that a lobby attendant had handed me without making eye contact. The compact administrative seat on Verath Prime was a large building. This was, I would later learn, the 14th floor. The Cartography Bureau was on the 7th. The attendant who opened the inner door, a small, flustered Verath man with gold thread lapels and the look of someone whose entire morning had already gone badly, took one look at my queue number, looked at his own manifest, looked back at me, and made a decision he almost certainly regrets to this day. He ushered me in. The room was larger than I expected. Pale stone arches, tall windows with the late morning light coming through at a low angle, the way it does on Verath in the 3rd season. At the far end, on a chair that fell just short of a throne without technically being one, sat a woman. She was not looking at the door. She was looking at a point somewhere slightly above the floor in front of her, with the controlled, composed expression of someone who has been sitting in this room for a very long time and has reached a private arrangement with patients. I counted 7 advisors. 4 in formal court attire, 2 recording on compact issue tablets. 1, near the central dais, watching a scan arch cycle through its diagnostic sequence. The arch was an older model, compact compatibility registry, standard issue for formal match proceedings the Verath court conducted under Clause 9 of the Compact Succession Statute. I recognized it from a checkpoint on the Eastern Transit route 3 seasons ago. No one told me to stop. I kept walking. The woman on the chair finally looked at me. Her eyes were deep green, not glowing, not luminous in any theatrical sense, just green and very steady, and she was watching me the way you watch something that does not behave the way you predicted it would. The scan arch, apparently detecting a new entrant to the chamber, did what scan arches do. It ran. The result took 11 seconds. I know because I counted them afterward. In the moment, I was still working out whether I was in the wrong room and what the polite form of, "I think I may have wandered into your official legal proceedings," was in standard Verath court diction. The arch display lit. The number it produced was 99.7. There was a silence in the room that I can only describe as the silence that happens when 7 people all have the same thought simultaneously, and none of them want to be the first to say it out loud. The woman on the chair looked at the number. Then she looked at me. Her expression did not change in any way that I could put a name to, but something shifted behind her eyes, and I had the clear impression that whatever she had been expecting from this morning, it was not this. "There has been an error," said the advisor nearest the arch, in a tone of absolute conviction. "Recalibrate," said another. The arch recalibrated. The process took 40 seconds. The result came back 99.7. I stood in the middle of the room holding my queue number, K447, and my boundary maps, and tried to be helpful. "I may be in the wrong room," I said. "I'm looking for cartography licensing, the 7th floor." "You are on the 14th floor," said the flustered advisor with the gold thread lapels, as though this explained something rather than simply confirming the problem. "There's been a registration error," said the first advisor again. He had the practiced certainty of a man who had been told this sort of thing does not happen, and had spent 11 seconds revising his opinion without letting it show on his face. "This individual is not a registered participant in the princess's compatibility proceeding. The arch should not have scanned him." I looked at the woman on the chair. She was looking at me. She had not said anything. The 7 advisors were discussing the situation at a growing volume, and she sat in the center of it the way a stone sits at the center of water moving around it. I did something that, in retrospect, was either very ordinary or very unusual depending on who you ask. I crossed the room, stood at what I judged to be a respectful distance and said, "I'm sorry for the interruption. I genuinely took a wrong turn. If it would help for me to leave, I will." I paused. "I don't know your name. The advisors keep calling you the princess. That seems like it would get old." She looked at me for 3 full seconds without speaking. Behind us, the advisors had reached the phase of their discussion where 2 of them were sending urgent communications on their tablets, and 1 had begun a formal objection on the grounds that the arch result was procedurally inadmissible, because I was not of Verath lineage, or Verath species, or Verath anything. "Sorathe," she said. Her voice was quiet and even. "Sorathe Vale Ear, not the princess." "Oren," I said. "Oren Vale. Not a licensed cartographer yet, apparently, since I can't find the bureau." Something happened at the corner of her mouth. It was not quite a smile. It was the small precursor to a smile, the slight shift a face makes when it has decided, against its better judgment, that something is worth acknowledging. "It is on the 7th floor," she said. "So I was told," I said. "I ended up here anyway." The lead advisor stepped forward. He had composed himself entirely. He was a professional, and professionals recover. "I must advise the court," he said, in the measured tone of someone who has decided to treat the room as normal, "that this result, while statistically unprecedented, cannot be acted upon. The Compact Compatibility Statute, Clause 9, Paragraph 4, requires both parties to be registered participants, as this individual was not registered." "He is registered now," said Sorathy Velier. The advisor stopped. "The Arch scanned him," she said. "The result stands in the record. Paragraph 4 specifies registration as of the time of the scan. He was in the chamber when the scan ran." She looked at the advisor with the expression of someone who has read the document carefully and is not interested in having its contents explained to her. "Am I wrong?" The advisor looked at his tablet. He looked at the Arch display. He looked at his colleagues, who looked at their tablets. There was a long pause. "You are not wrong," he said, in the tone of a man stepping carefully around something he cannot see clearly. "Good," she said. She stood. She was taller than I had expected. She walked to where I was standing, not quickly, not with any dramatic purpose, just with the calm of someone crossing a room they have crossed many times, and she looked at me directly. "You may withdraw your registration," she said. "If you do so within the hour, the proceeding is voided. No obligation." She said it the way someone says something they have said many times and did not expect to mean. The previous 12 results were all withdrawn, each within the hour. 12. I'd heard something about this vaguely. The way you hear things about galactic court business in frontier transit zones, some compressed, half-understood version of a situation. The eldest princess of the Verath royal house, the algorithm, the withdrawals. I looked at the display. I looked at her. "I'm going to ask you something," I said, "and I want you to know I'm asking because I want to know, not because I'm trying to be clever or make a point about the number on that arch." She waited. "Why does it matter to you? Not the statute, not the court." I kept my voice low, just for her, "To you." She was quiet for a moment. The kind of quiet that isn't evasion. The kind that means someone is deciding whether you have earned a real answer. "Because I am tired," she said, "of being a problem to be solved by a machine." She did not say it with anger. She said it with a flatness that was somehow worse. The flatness of something said too many times to still sting, and I had stopped expecting anyone to ask. I thought about that. I thought about the 7th floor, and the maps under my arm, and the surveying renewal I still needed to file, and the wrong turn I had taken on a Tuesday morning. "I'm not going to withdraw," I said. The room was very quiet. "Not because of the number," I said. "I want to be clear about that too, because you told me your name instead of your title, and because that's the most honest thing anyone in this building has said to me all morning, and because I think you deserve someone in your corner who isn't here because an algorithm told them to be." Sorath Velier looked at me for a long time. The green of her eyes caught the late morning light through the tall windows. "You understand," she said slowly, "that this is legally binding under compact statute." "I figured something like that," I said. "I'll find a notary, after I find the cartography bureau." She looked at me for another moment. Then the thing that had been waiting at the corner of her mouth arrived, quiet and contained, and she smiled. The advisors were still talking. The Arch still displayed 99.7. Outside, Verath Prime's 3rd season sun was doing what it does, patient and steady. I had taken a wrong turn. I was not, on balance, sorry about it.